So thank you all for joining us. It's great to see some of you. We have a great event lined up today, some really good information sharing. My name is Caitlin Elphinstone. I'm Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer at Cayman Enterprise City. Please do note that this session will be recorded, so bear that in mind. We'll start with our speakers who will share their insights, and then we'll have time at the end to answer any questions you may have. So I am pleased to introduce Charlie Kirkconnell. Charlie, if you could give us a wave. Charlie is our CEO at Cayman Enterprise City, home to 300 innovative businesses. He's also the director of Enterprise Cayman, which is a non-for-profit initiative. We'll touch on that more later. And then we have Ian Gilmore. Raise your hand, Ian. Hey, Ian. Ian is the chair of AI Forum's Advisory Board, which is an independent research, news, and services firm. He's also the founder of AI Gen. So I will kick it over to Charlie, who can take it from here.
Okay, thanks, Caitlin, and hello, everyone. Welcome to our AI-focused webinar. Thank you very much for joining. As Caitlin said, I'm the CEO here at Cayman Enterprise City, and there is a lot of activity going on. It's a very vibrant and exciting place to be. To kind of tell you a little bit about who we are. Recently, we were recognized for the second time in 3 years as the #1 free zone in the Americas. So our project is, that recognition is from the FDI magazine, which is a division of the Financial Times Group. So it's not just something that we kind of created and awarded to ourselves. It's a very substantial award, and we're competing against for those awards against best free zones in the world, including for example the DMCC, which finishes first every year, but globally finishes first every year. But we are very proud to be the #1 free zone in the Americas. Our project is all about attracting knowledge and technology-focused businesses to set up a genuine physical presence here. And that breaks into basically 3 categories. The first one we call Cayman Tech City, which is, that's for businesses in the media, marketing, content creation space, anything ICT related. That's where AI sector businesses would be licensed, and research and development on natural sciences. We also have the Cayman Commodities and Derivatives City, which is our electronic for businesses involved in the electronic or physical trade of commodities, or the electronic trading of derivatives products. That includes virtual assets, and that's a very, very important part of here in Cayman. And then the last section of our free zone, our special economic zone, is Cayman Maritime and Aviation City, which is for everything maritime and aviation services related, any business activity related to the maritime and aviation sector. So as far as where we are, we're a 1-hour flight from Miami. We're in the Caribbean, of course. A 1-hour flight from Miami, 4-hour flight from Toronto. I believe there's a slide later on that will show will illustrate this a little bit better than what I will describe. So I'll actually come on to that a little bit later on. Often we're asked about what is CC all about? Is it for what types of businesses? We offer, we accept as clients everything from one-person startups to established global businesses, including publicly traded billion-dollar companies, and then everything in between. And so basically we and in some cases as well, we will offer different solutions to different clients. For example, a smaller client may have a larger physical presence here than a global global billion-dollar company, which may locate, for example, its treasury operation in the Cayman Islands, and so maybe have 4 or 5 people. It really just depends on what our clients require. As I said earlier, everything from a shared use of a desk in the open plan environment for one person, all the way up to a private lockable space of any size. One of the things that people like the most about how we offer our product is that we're a platform for growth. So very, very many of our clients have started small and leveraged the benefits of doing business from the Cayman Islands, leveraged the platform that we've created to go on and do some very, very impressive things. One client of ours that I like to use as an example is a company called Vox Royalty Corporation. They're a Canadian company, and while this is not directly relevant to the AI sector, it's an illustration of how things can happen here. They started with us back in, I think it was 2014, 3 people sharing a small office. Very recently, they closed their public offering, raising 13.75 million Canadian dollars with a concurrent listing on the TX Venture Exchange. And to quote, and they are now also they're now also offered on NASDAQ, which is a reasonably recent development. And to quote the CEO, Kyle Floyd of Vox, our company has based its people in Cayman to take advantage of the business benefits offered by Cayman Enterprise City. We have used those benefits to secure a talented team, to obtain hassle-free work permits, and to streamline our business within a tax-neutral environment, which has ultimately added to the bottom line and helped us to successfully grow our business. So we like to think of ourselves as a platform for growth, which, given the nature of the tech sector, obviously that's a very useful fit. Moving on to the next slide. Why our business is setting up in CEC. Some of the very important points are that we offer a fully transparent set of concessions as set out in the Special Economic Zones Act. So this is not a deal that we have with the government that we can offer some stuff to you, special arrangements. And the activity within the Special Economic Zone is overseen by the Special Economic Zones Authority. So this is a well-regulated, properly thought through, properly set up Special Economic Zone here in the Cayman Islands. Other things that are very important to our clients is that it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for them to get through the entire setup process. And that includes from the day that the client says, I'm ready to go, to the day that they can walk into their office, sit down, and get to work. That included in that is, the fast-tracked trade certificate approvals and fast-tracked work visa approvals. And all of that kind of feeds together when we add that to the serviced office space, the way that we typically offer our product, serviced office space. Everything exists already. We don't have to then say to you, okay, now you have your licenses. Let's talk about office space. Yeah, you can literally walk in the day that you get your trade certificate, sit down, and get to work. Other things that are very, very important to our clients is one of the very main things is the community that we've developed here, the ecosystem. Which is very, very vibrant and very, very active. We host somewhere in the range of 40 to 50 events per year. We're always doing something to get our community together, to give them an opportunity to interact with each other, and to also hear from their peers about what they think or what they see happening within the relevant business sector. And then something it's on the way, something that will become a very important part of the reason why businesses are moving here. We will complete our first building at our 76-acre mixed-use development main campus in September of this year. And that will be a state-of-the-art building designed specifically with the needs of free zone and knowledge and technology businesses in mind. Moving on to the next slide. We consider, and a lot of people agree with us, that Cayman is the ideal business location. We have a pro-business government. We're a well-regulated, well-established jurisdiction, great place to live and work. One of the questions we get from people is, well, okay, do I, if I move down there, is it all about the beach? We can confirm to you that it is not. There is very, very serious activity happening here in the Cayman Islands, and sometimes that question is from a business owner that is looking at opening an office in Cayman, and they're afraid that, well, if I send my people down there, are they going to do any work? You get the benefits of being in this fantastic location, but it is a serious business jurisdiction, including that we are one of the world's leading financial centers. There's a lot of very serious business activity going on here. You just have the benefit of also having the fantastic what we call cosmopolitan island lifestyle available to you. The next slide, please. So just some features of Cayman as a jurisdiction. We are a safe and stable British overseas territory. British common law applies here, and we have up-to-date intellectual property protection legislation. We're, as I mentioned before, one of the world's leading financial centers, cosmopolitan, upscale island lifestyle, and something that's also very important, which I don't believe is on the list here. We have a first-rate service provider community. So people that have expertise in assisting businesses with getting set up, but then after they're set up, also whether they have M&A transactions or complicated, complex counterparty transactions or intellectual property protection transactions, we have the resources here. Through the what some of the local law firms like to refer as being the offshore magic circle. We have the leading offshore law firms. Each of the big four have offices here in the Cayman Islands, and the service provider community is very, very robust. And helps to make sure that the level of service that you need in order to properly operate from a place like the Cayman Islands exists for you. I promised that there would be a slide on showing the location of the Cayman Islands. And that also illustrates the global connectivity of the Cayman Islands. So all of the places that you can get to Cayman and from Cayman directly to are shown there on the screen. Which while we are a remote island in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, we are also very, very connected to very significant, either in and of themselves, they are significant centers of business, or they are places where you can easily access, whether you go to Miami because you're on your way to London, the global connectivity is very easy from the Cayman Islands. The last thing I'd like to say is that we have helped over 300 companies relocate to the Cayman Islands and to set up an office and operate from here. Within 4 to 6 weeks, we can have the company's business license, work visas for the relocating members, and fully fit out offices ready to go as and when you are ready. So I'd just like to end by saying we have a lot of experience with doing this, and if this was something that you decided was a fit for you and your company, we would love to speak with you about how we can help you. That's it for me. And I should, maybe it's for me to hand over to Ian. Ian?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ian, over to you.
Okay.
Hey, thanks, Charlie. Hi, everybody. My name's Ian Gilmore. I have been resident in Cayman for 5 years, much of that in Cayman Enterprise City. And my 15-minute slot is to talk about my personal experiences, but also to explain how I think that the AI industry, as it's evolving, will benefit from having a really good look at Cayman Enterprise City for part or many parts of its operation. So a little bit about myself and my company. I'm an ex-banker, management consultant, lived in many places around the world. And I came to Cayman in 2018 as part of a new business proposition, and I've ended up the last few years moving increasingly into artificial intelligence. I was on the advisory board of AI Forum, which was started in 2019 in London, and I had the great fortune to actually purchase the company a year ago with a group of investors. And we've turned that property into a fully fledged research, news, and services organisation, servicing what is now the world's fastest growing industry. So fortunately, right place, right time. The reason that we're benefiting from our presence in Cayman and Cayman Enterprise City is because it is a phenomenal place to do business. The ease of meeting people here, the human capital aspect to it, I'll touch on in a minute, but it really is it's a little village of amazing people, and there's lots of little anecdotes one could give about me bumping into people in supermarkets, on the beach, and all the rest of it. But it is it's very similar, I think, to other ecosystems you could find in London, New York, Hong Kong, Singapore. They're all places that I've worked and lived in, and it's very similar in that respect, in that there's a really strong community here. So there is a fantastic beach, but I don't get to sit on it very often. But I know it's there. So but the good thing about I think for an artificial intelligence company and the relevance to Cayman Enterprise City is that AI is pretty young as in this wave. Obviously, AI has been going for decades, but it's recently that with the advent of general purpose technologies like ChatGPT and things like DALL-E 2 and the explosion of applications that are really catching people's imagination, is that Cayman Enterprise City in Cayman is not new to these fast growth high tech industries. If you go back into financial services in the 70s and 80s, the hedge fund industry, you look at captive insurance, you look at blockchain technology. Cayman's, it really is a world leader in some of these very sophisticated and technical initiatives, and the human capital and financial capital here is something I want to keep talking about. But effectively, the reason that we're benefiting so much from being here is because the if you like, the nurturing. This is why I try and explain to everybody this ecosystem is quite nurturing. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of networking. There's a lot of access, and we're really seeing that as a benefit to our business model. I get more FaceTime with decision makers in Cayman than I ever would in London, New York, Hong Kong, etc. So even though these larger centres potentially might be exciting for firms, for us, we find the fact that there's quite a personal side to business here, and you can get to decision makers relatively easily. So that's a really nice aspect to this. The technical skills in Cayman are second to none. I've worked in many very sophisticated financial centres around the world, and the level of sophistication here, whether it's on funding, whether it's on corporate organisation, etc., it is very much on a par with these leading centres, particularly London and New York. And I will say that Cayman benefits enormously from its proximity to Miami and New York in particular, and obviously Boston. So we're very close. If you looked at the map, we're literally 1 hour into Miami, 4 hours into New York, which for a business working in artificial intelligence is quite nice. But also we can get on the West Coast in 4 or 5 hours into LA. The other thing that I would say about the network here is that there's a strong, if you like, network into South America as well, and that's something that I think will come increasingly more apparent to businesses here once the connections into Panama open up. Panama is a really good gateway into Latin America, and that's something that we're all looking forward to as those flights start to come online. I think later this year. So in summary, it's a really good ecosystem, really easy to meet people and access decision makers. In terms of the setup and the ongoing administration in Cayman Enterprise City, as a business owner, a small business owner, I can attest to the fact that it is relatively straightforward. Cayman Enterprise City's got a very mature team handling all of that. So in terms of the administrative burden on the company, it's quite low, which is really great for a small company. So going back into human capital and financial capital, the human capital is exceptional. One of the things about Cayman Enterprise City that completely blows everybody away is we have a monthly meetup. Last Friday every month we all meet up in the kitchen. We get coffees, danishes, and we meet the latest people who have just walked in the door, and it's very well attended and it's very popular, and that networking has led to some interesting conversations. And in a post-COVID world where people are starting to go back into the office, being able to network and meet your peers from different industries is a real bonus of being in Cayman Enterprise City. So being able to meet people who are in lots of disparate industries, including artificial intelligence. There are some AI startups here, but there's also a lot of other businesses in different areas such as biotech, blockchain, etc. Being able to cross-fertilize those ideas, talk about different transactions, different go-to-markets is really a fantastic feature of being in this ecosystem. So being able to access all of those thought leaders regularly within the zone is a real bonus. In terms of financial capital, Cayman is one of the things that I didn't know before I moved here was that there's 80% of the global hedge fund industry, offshore global hedge fund industry, is actually in Cayman. So therefore there's over 4 trillion of assets under management under Cayman, with very extensive ecosystem of attorneys and corporate service companies. We've experienced access to seed and pre-seed finance here. I think Series A is much more available in larger jurisdictions such as New York, etc. But in terms of finance, there's definitely a growing ecosystem here, and this is something as well that the business design competition that Cayman Enterprise City do onshore is a reflection of that they are trying to foster innovation and entrepreneurship. So it's very much within the DNA of the zone. The other thing that I think is really interesting with Silicon Valley Bank's demise and some of the issues that we've seen with global banking, and particularly with the takeover of Credit Suisse, is that the banking system in Cayman is very stable. The political system is very stable, so it's a really good place to put your global payroll, to put your operational cash flow into the economy, because it's a very safe, well-regulated, very conservative ecosystem there for capital. So it's a really good place when you're talking about some of the volatility you're seeing around the world. That's a real benefit here. No one's laying awake at night worried about the money that's sitting in the banks here. Just pivoting quickly to personal, the reason that I enjoy it here, I have a family. I've got grown-up children, but we have a really nice lifestyle. The weekends, even though work is long hours, the weekends are lovely. We've got access to it's very family-friendly environment, good ecosystem for small children all the way up to teenagers. Lots to do. The lifestyle is world class. I have more fun and the time that I do get off here than I do in other places and other large financial centres, with the option to disappear off into the wilderness or go scuba diving, get on a short flight into some of the smaller islands near Cayman, or if you want to go shopping, you can jump on a plane and go off to Miami or New York. So the limitless options, just depends on how much money you've got left at the end of each month. But immersing yourself in nature and being able to explore this part of the world is something that my family and I really enjoy. And just to finish off, talking about artificial intelligence again, we have got the Cayman Islands AI Society. We did a meeting on that, I think 2 weeks ago, and it was a sellout. The interest in AI globally is incredible, but locally in the Cayman Islands, I think it was one of the best attended events that I've been to in the last few years, and we're really looking forward to building out that society. So every single AI company that comes into Cayman Enterprise City has got a fit for purpose society that they can slot straight into, and meet some amazing people. So yeah, overall, fantastic experience.
Amazing. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. So we'll go into some questions. If you have any questions for us, please add them to the chat in here. We're going to start with the questions that we have that came through by email, and then we'll go through the questions in the chat. So the first question we have here, it says, we are a service and automation-based company. How long does it take from to being able to have a staff at CEC? So how long does it take to set up a staff at CEC? Charlie, that's might be one for you.
Okay. Yeah. It takes in the range of 4 to 6 weeks to get completely set up. And that's counting from the day that you say, okay, I'm ready to do this. Let's go. And one of the very important things that we offer, we take the lead on helping you with your trade certificate application and your work visa applications. And we work very, very closely with you on getting those applications prepared and submitted. And that's part of what helps it the process to be time efficient. It also saves you quite a bit of money as well, because that can be it's quite an involved transaction, and paying a law firm to assist you through the process can get to be quite expensive. So and included in that 4 to 6 weeks, as I said earlier, is the preparation of your office space. So of course, that doesn't include if you want to locate 80 people here and you want a brand new space that's fit out and furnished and all of that sort of thing. I'm really speaking about our standard kind of off-the-shelf products, if you will. And typically, companies that are in the range of anywhere between 1 and 10 people would fall within that 4 to 6 week category. Possibly bigger companies as well, but we would have to kind of talk that through. Short answer, 4 to 6 weeks.
Perfect. And how many days per year do individuals have to stay in Cayman to qualify?
Well, from our side, the way there's no minimum number of days that are prescribed in the law or in the regulations. The advice when we're asked this question, we advise that what is required is that the company must operate as a going concern from within the Cayman Islands and maintain a place of business. So that would be your office space in Cayman Enterprise City. And the company can't be, it can't be a holding company, for example. It must be actually, conducting business activities. So one of the things that we find is that, well, I'll start by saying the reason why it's like that is because businesses are not entitled to do, businesses within the SEZ are not entitled to do business in the local economy. So all of the business that your company would be doing would be outside of Cayman, and obviously what comes with that is significant business travel, and the idea that we would then require you to be present within the jurisdiction for X number of days might undermine your ability to operate your company regionally or globally. But we typically find that the biggest concern that our clients have on number of days relate to their home jurisdiction and how many days they need to be outside of their home jurisdiction to qualify as a non-domicile. Hope that answers the question.
Perfect. There's a question here about export fees, tariffs, and licenses. So I believe you covered all the licenses that's included, bundled into the CEC offer. Maybe you can touch on import duties and some of that in the concessions.
Okay, so businesses that are set up in the SEZ are entitled to import items duty-free. So as long as they're legitimately for use in the business, for example, if you're your personal car isn't covered by the duty waiver, but your servers and your laptops and all of that sort of thing are. As far as export goes, because we are a knowledge and technology focused free zone, we don't have we have one client that does some light assembly of a technology product and export. To my knowledge, there are no export fees in the Cayman Islands. But it's not a very common activity. If whoever asked that question would like to get in touch with us directly, and we can dig into that and get you a more I guess a more robust answer to your question. But at the moment, for just my personal knowledge from is that there are no export fees or tariffs for businesses that are exporting items globally from the Cayman Islands.
Perfect. So if somebody has an existing company that they're moving from the UK to the Cayman Islands, how does that work?
Well, and maybe this isn't the question, but it is possible to transfer in a foreign company into the Cayman Islands. But I'm actually going to guess that's probably not the question. It's more I have a business that operates currently in the UK. How do I move it to the Cayman Islands? We can from our side we assist with the business licensing and the physical office space and all those things that you need to actually set up your operation here. We rely obviously we rely very heavily on your local legal advisor, your local attorney, to assist you with things like transferring intellectual property and kind of all of those other questions that relate to global mobility of businesses. And as I mentioned, earlier in my comments, there is an expert, local corporate service provider community to assist with that. And we'd love to make we'd be delighted to make any introductions that you might wish.
Perfect. Is there the next question is there a cloud data center?
We have there are two actually there are three data centers in Cayman, and one of them actually has kind of a disaster recovery site on one of the other islands, which is located 90 miles away. So I believe the answer to that question is yes.
Okay, this one sounds like a technical one. Can you facilitate onboarding an ASN or IP address blocks?
Okay, not being a technical person, the answer is yes, but as far as the details of how any of that works, that's not something that I'm able to answer.
Okay, but we'll get back to that individual who asked that question. And the next one, what's the availability of gigabyte internet?
Same. I think what we probably need to do is answer those questions directly, and we would bring our CTO into the conversation to answer those questions, to help answer those questions.
Perfect. Can you touch on the minimum investment for CEC? What are the annual fees? Maybe you can give an idea of what the pricing structure looks like.
Sure. So there's no minimum, kind of no minimum share capital or contributed share capital, I should say, for businesses setting up in the Cayman Islands. So the companies don't need to be of a certain size or realizing a certain level of revenue. Everything from a bootstrapping startup all the way up to publicly listed global company is all of those are eligible to set up in the zone. As far as annual fees for CC, this will depend on the size of the space that's required and the number of people. But the the range is typically somewhere between US $15,000 per year per person. And US $25,000 per year per person, and it all just depends on, again, number of people, size of the space, and what sort of office setup the company requires. So obviously, at the lower end of the scale is going to be, an open plan setup. And then at the higher end of the scale will be, an office setup that requires a certain number of, private lockable offices, a meeting room, a kitchen, all of that kind of thing. But one thing that I can confirm is that included in the price of our product is your company's trade certificate, your work visas for each of the people that you are going to locate in Cayman, and your serviced office space. And our serviced office solutions include all of the things that you would expect in a serviced office space. So fit out and furnished, voice and data connectivity, copy print, receptionist service, all of those sorts of things that basically allow you to just walk in and sit down and get to work and not worry about, setting up your data connectivity and those sorts of things.
Great. We've got a question here from Chris who asks, is this specific to tech companies? I'm seeking to move a financial advisement business specific to blockchain assets from outside the US to Cayman. Is this possible?
Sure, and we have that's one of the bigger parts of our project, if you will. There are a lot of businesses doing exactly that from within the SCZ right now. And to kind of quote from the relevant passage of the cabinet order, activities directly and indirectly related to the trading of commodities and derivatives products may be licensed into the SCZ. Commodities and derivatives products includes virtual assets. And so the types of businesses that fall within that category typically are investment managers and proprietary traders that are focused on virtual assets.
Great. Derek has also sent in through a question. He says, suppose we are a private company, AI/tech, domiciled in Canada with multiple subsidiaries in Canada and in the US. In our corporate structure and in existing investors in Canada and the US. Management of the parent company is considering moving to Grand Cayman. Does CEC offer tax advice with respect to corporate structuring to minimize the impact on corporation and investors?
CEC does not, but we have some excellent relationships with global mobility advisors, including an excellent one that is based in Canada. So I would love to make a connection to our contact there. And I can confirm that they've successfully worked with, must be in the range of 20 to 25 of our clients over the last 2 years or so, in helping them figure out the global mobility part of setting up an office in a new jurisdiction. So if we can make a direct connection there, I'd love to make between us and the person asked the question. I would love to make that connection onto our contact at the Global Mobility Advisor.
Perfect. And another question came in from Simon. Can you also make a connection for tax advice in the UK?
The same. The company that I just mentioned, the advisor that I just mentioned, they're a Canadian-based company, but they have a global reach, including an office in the UK. So I'd love to separately connect Simon to our contact at this advisor.
Perfect. Any more questions? Please pop those through the chat. Ian, any last thoughts before we conclude today's session?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the incorporation process very quickly. So I think there's a few companies are thinking of coming over and they're established. We're a startup that that came in, and the startup process, as Charlie described, it was exactly that. There was no additional costs. Sometimes when you go, I've worked in a few offshore centres around the world. I won't name names, but quite often you'll get involved in a process and then you end up with quite a large bill at the end of it that wasn't in your business plan. And I will say there are no hidden costs when it comes here. It's a very transparent process. It is exactly as it was described. So I think that's one of the benefits of Cayman Enterprise City, is that the transparency in the process. And in terms of budgeting, it is a very hard to beat offer compared to some of the other offshore jurisdictions that can be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and therefore aren't really a great place for startups. So that's one of the sort of things that I think needs to come through, is it's a very startup friendly environment.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions. Can CEC provide intros to angels and pre-seed investors?
Okay, this is something of a work in progress locally, and something that CEC is leading. We're working very hard to create an entrepreneurial and innovation entrepreneurial ecosystem here, including that we have a business design competition, which is your ideate stage. We have an incubator as well. And our second cohort kicks off in late August of this year. And connected to all of that, we are working on establishing an angel investor group locally that will get involved with some of those projects as well as others. So this is a work in progress. We have a steering committee that is putting together the plan, and within the next few weeks, we intend to be out there with some in the media and so on, just kind of with details. If you'd like to, for the person that asked the question, we'd like to keep in touch with you on our work in that space, so that we can keep you up to date.
Yes, it will send you some details on the incubator program that is open to non-residents as well. I just saw that last part in your question. Another question here. What obligations would the founding team have when setting up in CEC around reporting to government, residency on island, medical coverage?
Okay, so the reporting requirement is, on an annual basis, there's an initial application where the company discloses to the Special Economic Zones Authority what its business activities are going to be, and then provided that the company's business activities remain within that scope. The annual renewal of the trade certificate, which is granted for 5 years at a time, is done administratively. There's no requirement to file financial statements or updates on the status of the development of the product or the project. So it's from that perspective, it's light touch regulation. Medical coverage, each of your Cayman Islands-based employees will need to be enrolled in a Cayman Islands-based health plan. And to make that all work as efficiently as possible, Cayman Enterprise City has an umbrella health insurance plan with one of the leading local providers, and all of our clients have the opportunity to join that large risk pool as a subgroup of the umbrella.
Perfect. There's one question here. I'm looking to establish in commodities and derivatives zone. I would need to hire qualified personnel within Cayman. Are there suitable personnel, or do I have to import qualified personnel? What qualifications? They're interested in finding qualified personnel to conduct commodities trading.
Yeah. So traders that's an emerging kind of business sector here, if you will. Most of our clients that are in this space are bringing their trading talent with them, relocating them perhaps from their parent office or doing recruiting for those roles from outside of Cayman. I'm not saying that there is none, but that there's a limited availability of kind of qualified and experienced trading talent.
Great. Well, that's all the questions that came through the chat. If anybody has any other questions at all, please do reach out.
May I say one last thing, Caitlin, before you close out? I just wanted to kind of tie this all together to the AI sector. So we've talked very generally. Well, Ian spoke specifically about AI and the AI sector, but from my perspective, I've spoken very generally about CEC. One thing I'd like to just bring across, and I knew that we had businesses that were leveraging AI technology already set up in the SEZ, but I didn't realize that we have somewhere in the range of 25 companies operating from Cayman already that are leveraging some form of AI. Typically, they are algorithmic traders leveraging machine learning technology. But I say all of that to say, because many of you might be thinking, well, okay, it sounds great, Cayman Islands, all this sort of thing, but are there any people down there doing something that's relevant or remote or kind of similar to what I'm doing? And in addition to Ian, there are in the range of 24 other companies that are operating in this space already, and that's one of the reasons why we put together the Cayman Islands AI Society. Sorry, we have a few societies. Was to kind of get that group together. And get that group leveraging each other and their knowledge and their experience to help build that sector here locally. So if you are thinking about, if you are an AI-focused company or a company that leverages AI, and you're thinking about Cayman, one of the things that you won't have to worry about is, whether there are existing companies in the Cayman Islands, whether there's whether there's a critical mass of companies already operating in this space, or you don't have to worry that you're going to come down here and just be the only person doing what you do. Okay, sorry, Caitlin. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, all I was going to say, thank you very much, Charlie. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate the time you spent today to help answer some questions and share your thoughts. We will be in touch with some more information. Again, if you have any other questions, please do reach out. We're here to help. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.